Well, hi, and welcome to Unit 4. Unit 4 is all about words and how we can use them to do more than just present information. We can use, depending on how we arrange them, to inspire and project hope and accomplish a lot of important things. Interpretive writing is outcome based, and so how we connect words and use provoke, relate, reveal themes and objectives and tangibles and intangibles is really key. So in this section, we're going to spend some time thinking about what happens when we put all these words together. And as part of that, I want to read you something. I think you'll enjoy. Good example of interpretive writing called Wilhelm's Passion. More than anything, Wilhelm wanted to be an evangelist. He was only 25 a century ago, but already he'd been an art dealer, language teacher, bookseller, and unsuccessful in love. For more than all the paintings and all the words and all the books and all the women, Wilhelm wanted to devote himself to his fellow man and the Word of God. It was this passion that brought young Wilhelm, in the spring of 1879, to the coal fields of southern Belgium. It was there in a little mining town that Wilhelm outlined the rest of the story on the back of a faded envelope. Perhaps it was the young minister's total selflessness that first captured the respect of the miners in that tiny community. In a mine disaster, scores of villagers were injured, and no one fought harder to save them than he. Day and night, he nursed the wounded, fed the hungry, clothed the poor, and even scraped the sag heaps to give his people fuel. After the rubble was cleared and the dead were buried and the sick were made well, the townspeople turned to the Dutchman who had healed their physical hurts and adopted him as their spiritual leader. Every Sunday they overflowed his services to hear this unassuming man preach the literal Word of God. And then lightning struck. A visiting church official discovered Wilhelm living in a simple hut, dressed in an old soldier's coat and trousers made of sacking. When he asked Wilhelm what he had done with the salary, Wilhelm answered simply that he'd given it to the miners. The church official told Wilhelm that he looked more miserable than the people he taught. Why had he given everything away? Wilhelm asked, well, wasn't this what Christ had intended for his disciples? There's such a thing as being too literally interpreting the scriptures, the official argued. He went on to say that the conventions Wilhelm had destroyed would take years to rebuild. Wilhelm was dismissed from the church that day. He was devastated. The career that had meant everything was suddenly nothing. There followed weeks of despair. Then one afternoon, Wilhelm noticed an old miner. He was bending beneath the enormous weight of a full sack of coal. In that instant, Wilhelm again felt the desperation of these people and recognized that it would always be his own. Fumbling through his pockets, the Dutchman pulled out a tattered envelope and then a pencil and began to sketch that weary figure that had moved him so. That first drawing was a crude one, but he tried over and over again. Beginning that day, Wilhelm was to capture for the world the torment, triumph, and dignity of the people he loved. If Wilhelm had failed as a minister, there was now a new passion, a new purpose. And the people he was not allowed to teach, he was able to reach through art. In the process, he immortalized them, and they him. For the end of Wilhelm's career as a clergy motivated a ministry more monumental than he had ever dreamed, because the preacher who wasn't to be became the artist the world would know. You probably guessed it by now. Vincent Wilhelm van Gogh. From a book called Paul Harvey's Rest of the Story. One of the textbooks I used in my interpretive courses at Ohio State and at Michigan State to show people what real impassioned interpretive writing can do. There should have been a "oh" at the end of that. When we write, we have to do more than just connect sentences. When I go to museums, I'm full of despair myself. What I see is a wall full of nouns and verbs and adjectives glued together with some convention that a curator wanted people to know for no reason other than he liked it. And as they read that copy on that wall, all those boring words kind of turn into slime and goo and slide down the exhibit wall to the floor and turn into a puddle of boredom, which most visitors try to step over and avoid contact with. My goal is for you not to write text of voluminous goo that slides down the wall or slides off an interpretive panel into a boring puddle that people try to step over. I want you to create impassioned writing that people actually want to read and look for and want to understand and want to connect with. That's the goal of unit number 4. Your assignment is to inspire me by what you write. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can put together to provoke, relate, reveal, use tangibles and intangibles, and have a rest of the story that will impress everybody. So that's our charge for Unit 4. I'm waiting to see what you're going to send me, and I'm looking to be inspired and be amazed by how creative you really are. And when you've impressed me enough, we'll move on to Unit 5. We'll see you later.